say you wanna watch a drama. You say you wanna watch a comedy. Well, you can watch it with your mama, or you can watch it with your daddy.
You'll even sit and watch it with your middle schooler, so you can come and talk around a water cooler. We're watching all day and all night.
Couch potatoes unite.
Whoa, whoa.
Couch potatoes unite.
Whoa, whoa. Couch potatoes unite.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the podcast entitled Couch Potatoes Unite! Which is based on a blog of the same name because life is a cabaret, old chum. We're just singing about it from our slouchy couches. Ew, David. My name is Kylie and I love TV. If you feel the same, keep listening and or checking out our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, as you're bound to find some common ground or something you like. For Couch Potatoes Unite, we're all about the wonders and unique long-form storytelling of the small screen. CPU, ! is ready for the holidays and hopes you've been following releases of brand new episodes of the podcast on Wednesdays, as well as new blog entries on some Tuesdays. And as always, we have several more new episodes on the way. Because the panelists and I live lives behind our podcast, the episodes are published once per week. Subscribe to the blog or the podcast via iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, via Google Play, and now on Spotify to stay on top of brand new episodes. Episodes already published discuss a variety of shows around the water cooler, including, but not limited to, Fuller House, Westworld, The Good Place, Grace and Frankie, Supernatural, Arrested Development, Jane the Virgin, and the Arrowverse on the CW. Plus, new episodes are in the works, including revisits for Doctor Who, Gotham, Game of Thrones, Stranger Things, iZombie, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Orange is the New Black, 13 Reasons Why, The Crown, American Horror Story, and the Marvel's Defenders panel will talk Season 2 of The Punisher. We'll be launching new panels covering Riverdale, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Altered Carbon, Mr. Robot, Charmed, Outlander, and the Breaking Bad universe. And because we look back at shows now past, we'll take a smallish look back at a short-term show from some kind of yesteryear, namely Freaks and Geeks. We'll don witch hats and bring our Salem cats for Sabrina the Teenage Witch. We'll put out some musical stops for our crazy ex-girlfriend, and we'll revisit one of the all-time and most-watched classic sitcoms, MASH. By the way, did you know that CPU also from time to time goes live? We've been live from bunkers and comedy shows and Comic-Cons, and we just went live from Blue Bridge Games to take a shiny look back at Firefly. Plus, we're planning more live appearances and other cool stuff, so make sure you like or follow us at our Facebook page, our Twitter at CPU Podcast, our Instagram at Couch Potatoes Unite, or subscribe to the blog, our YouTube channel, our iTunes channel, our Stitcher Radio channel, or find us on Google Play as well as on Spotify. In the meantime, if you don't hear your show in this podcast format, fellow panelists and I still write reviews, and we always seek new panelists, so if you have any interest in joining the discussion, say hello by finding us at any of those outlets I've mentioned. At the very least, stop by and leave us a thumbs up, comment, or review. We like feedback! In fact, if you'd send a review of our particular cabaret to your local press, we'd be happier than Moira acting her heart out in a crowpocalypse, especially if it is permanently shelved. Today we're around the water cooler to discuss Season 5 of cult favorite Canadian sitcom Schitt's Creek, which airs on cable network Pop in the United States. Season 5 aired from January 8, 2019 to April 9, 2019 on Pop. To remind the listeners, Schitt's Creek is a Canadian television sitcom created by Eugene Levy and his son Dan Levy, which initially premiered in Canada on CBC television on January 13, 2015. The series stars Eugene Levy as Johnny Rose, a wealthy video store magnate, and Catherine O'Hara as his wife Moira, a formerly successful soap star. The family loses their fortune when their business manager fails to pay their taxes. They're forced to rebuild their lives with their sole remaining asset, a small town named Schitt's Creek, which they had bought their son as a joke birthday gift years before. The story revolves around the family's life living in two adjacent rooms of a rundown hotel with their pampered 20-something adult children, David and Alexis, played by Dan Levy and Annie Murphy, respectively. Additional cast includes Chris Elliott, Jennifer Robertson, and Emily Hampshire. The show is based on a series of situations contrasting the once rich family and their worldly big city attitudes with sudden small town living and the honest, down-to-earth, hard-working residents of Schitt's Creek. Our panel of small townies has experienced a changeover since our last panel recording, as one panelist departed the panel for life's greater journeys, while one newish panelist And one brand new panelist joined the ranks of returning panelists, Nick, Sarah, and Amy. The panel, in its newest form, has convened around the water cooler to recap the 5th season. Before we do, though, as always, I'm going to take a moment to take the panel's temperature. After all, as we all know, sometimes a TV show can take turns for the better or the worse in our heads, or it can continue its level of awesomeness or lack thereof, depending upon story evolution. As always, it should be noted that all of our panelists have watched all episodes of all available seasons of Schitt's Creek to date, and may discuss sensitive plot points, comedic situations, jokes, and quotes that may have the most and best impact on a first watch. So for those of you who have not watched any of Schitt's Creek and plan to do so at some point, listen at your own risk, as there may be major spoilers. Welcome back, returning panelists, and welcome new panelists. How are you?
Great.
Doing great.
Doing really
Great.
good. Really
Hello.
Are you ready for this new Schitt's Creek experience?
good. Yeah.
We're ready.
Nick, why do you look scared?
The crows.
The crows. It is vaguely reminiscent of Alfred Hitchcock's The Bird sometimes. Yes. Okay, well, what we're going to do, I'm going to take your temperature along the CPU standard character question, which changes with each show we do. I'm going to start with the returning panelists, and then we'll introduce our new panelists, and you'll have to answer the same question, too. Sound good? And just great. And just because this is Schitt's Creek and I think I'm sometime actress, there might be bad impressions. So this is how this goes. How would you rate your interest in Schitt's Creek following the 5th season? You think the show rocks? You love how the town is named after the mayor, and that the end result of that gimmick provides the title for the show, which is so delightfully appropriate to you. Then again, you do not necessarily have a reliable internal measurement for what constitutes appropriate. Sure, the main characters can be a little grating, but you find ways to laugh at them in spite of themselves, and you just all around love the show, like Mayor Roland Shit. You think this show is just a hoot. You feel sorry for the main characters at times, but think their hearts are in the right place. In fact, you're willing to go the distance with them, no matter the pitfalls, like Jocelyn Shit. This show makes you laugh because you recognize it for all that it is. Sure, it has moments that confuse you in all the best ways, but it's ultimately genuine, and that means the most to you. In fact, it's the show's genuineness and sincerity that drew you in hook, line, and sinker. Oh, and probably your massive love for David as well, like Patrick Brewer. You like the show? You think it offers some surprises, or at least it surprises you, even when you expect not to like it. Still, it's proving to be a great comfort to you during hard times, and you plan to stick with it, at least for the time being, like John or Johnny Rose. This show makes you laugh in the most ironic way. You think the main characters are kind of atrocious, but you do have a particular affection for the David character that you just can't seem to shake. Plus, they do provide a certain support and comfort to you, even if you think that's kind of messed up in its own right, like Stevie Budd. Oh my God. Okay, you could never openly admit you like the show, lest it ruin the publicity for your new business, but there are some highlights. Stevie warms the pretend coldness of your heart, and Patrick melts it altogether. At the same time, there are some glaringly huge flaws, and you think a makeover would be in the show's best interest, like David Rose. Oh my God, David! You can't say you super enjoy the show, squinty-eyed face plus duck lips, the duck lips, but you can at least agree that the men on Schitt's Creek are the best kind of eye candy, and that you could maybe achieve some personal growth if you could find a way to like yourself by yourself, and this show to boot while you watch it, like Alexis Rose, despite the fact that you believe you could act circles around the rubes staffing the cast of this show, and though you are appalled by the general state of the production values, you're willing to make the best of it because you are nothing if not resilient, and as long as you can direct the community theater production in the meantime, like Moira Rose. Sometimes the show breaks your heart, but you find ways to laugh at it, or you only watch it because your significant other watches it, for better or for worse, like Ted Mullins. You think the show means well, but you don't really know what's going on, for sure, most of the time, and you don't really get the humor. You feel kind of lukewarm to it, like your day-old meatloaf, like Twyla Sands, or you do not vote for this show, you think it's a waste of your time, and you're interested more in Casino Night, like Ronnie Lee, or in ensuring you can realize your theatrical dreams, like Bob Curry. Who would like to start of the returning panelists?
I can go first.
Okay.
I'm Nick.
Hi, Nick.
And I was rolling shit last time.
You were rolling in shit.
Ew, David.
Oh, I love this panel.
I feel like last time I expressed that isn't my favorite character, but I feel like the description still works because I really enjoyed the show. It's probably one of my favorite shows. I think it's doing a really good job telling the story of these characters and not getting repetitive or boring, and it's staying funny and has a nice balance of the character moments and the comedy. So I'll stick with Roland.
Okay. You seem begrudging.
I don't know. He's just my least favorite character.
I understand. Welcome back, Nick.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Nick's married to me.
He is, at last check.
I last time was Patrick, and I'm still Patrick, based on your descriptions. Because David's my favorite character, and I think that it's a really good show that I enjoy watching, almost to the point of obsession. And I like that it's genuine. All those things, yay.
Yay! Welcome back, Sarah.
Good to be here.
Amy. Hi.
Hi. I am going to stick with Patrick as well. I was him last time because of the same reasons that Sarah said. Yeah, he is one of my favorite characters just because he's like, his reactions are just sweet to everything. He's just really cool. I think that he is one of the most genuine characters on this show because sometimes the other ones seem kind of like caricature-ish, and he just seems really real. I like him.
Patrick, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So the description of him describes how I feel about the show, which is one of my favorite shows as well.
All right. Welcome back, Amy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And now it is time to introduce our two brand new panelists. Two brand new panelists. Please identify yourself by your first name, just your first name, not your whole life story. We just need your first name. And then tell us how you came to watch Schitt's Creek, what made you start watching, how did you find out about it, what kept you watching, and then you get to pick your character along the CPU standard character question. Who would like to volunteer as tribute?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Jordan. I initially found out about Schitt's Creek, I think just through like social media, because people were ranting and raving about it all over the Facebook. So I decided to check it out. And so I started watching it, couldn't stop at all, and became addicted, like I think everyone kind of does when they discover the show. And the writing is what really kept me in it, because I just think it gets progressively better and better and better as it goes on in terms of writing and character development. Character-wise, there's two answers. For all of you on the panel who know me, I'm so David. It's just disgusting.
He is!
Can I tell a really quick story really quick?
You can.
So I was on a work trip recently this past week to teach at a beauty school in small town Nowheresville, Indiana. And
Hi, Indiana.
Hi, Indiana. No offense to you, but it was really like in the middle of the country, and I stopped at a Burger King to use the facilities and get a coffee. And the cashier says to me, "Can I ask you a question? I want to ask you a question, but I don't want you to be offended." And I said, "Okay, sure, go ahead." And she goes, "Do you watch the show Schitt's Creek?" Yes. She goes, "You remind me of David so much." I'm like, "Oh my God, thank you so much." So that's one answer, just because I feel like I am David. But my other answer would be Patrick, just because of the description of him. Because what really kept me going with the show too is the genuineness and the sort of the sweetness behind all the story, behind all the humor. So I identify with your description of Patrick as well.
Welcome to the podcast, Jordan.
I'm Josh. I think I first heard about the show actually from my mom, and she said, "There's this show, it's called Schitt's Creek," and she gave me the pitch, and she was like, "I think you'll think it's really funny," and I said, "Thanks, Mom," and I thought, she would never know what I think is funny. And then a bunch of people eventually told me that I would really like the show, and I was like, fine, I'll try this show. So that's how I heard about and how I found out about it and how I started watching it. And what kept me watching was just that it's a weird little show that's really fun and funny. And I was excited to rewatch this season. I'm excited to watch the next one. My character is the boring answer, apparently, which is Patrick. And at first I struggled with it because there's a sentence in there that's about how you are confused by the show. But then I thought back to those early days of watching it. There's some kind of goofy sitcom-y stuff that before I fell in love with the show, it like irked me a little bit. So I feel like I'm a Patrick. But I really wanted to be a Bob because he's my favorite character. And when I started watching it, I would do an impersonation of him. I'd say, "What character am I from the show?" Nobody never came across. He has a very specific physicality that I love.
You do an impression? Is it a vocal impression?
No, it's his little.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Too bad the podcast listeners can't see it.
We're enjoying it.
Watch the beginning of any scene with Bob, and you'll immediately understand. He does it, and then this season he does it in the cabaret audition when he has specific direction that walk does not fit with, and that delighted me.
It's pretty hysterical.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the podcast, Josh. And of course, my name is Kylie. I moderate and participate on this panel, as is often the case. Last time I was Jocelyn and Patrick for basically all the reasons, and I'm going to stay there because I feel the same about the show. It just gets better and better. David is my favorite character as well. I relate to Stevie the most. She would be me if I couldn't escape from my small town life, I think. Just the way she acts, and this season just tugged at my heartstrings where she was concerned in so many ways. But from the perspective of how I feel about the show, I think it's just a hoot, and I love it all, and it did confuse me at first, but I got into it, and it's so funny and fun, and everything that everyone has already said. What an agreeable panel. This will be quick.
Yeah, but can I add a coda onto Jordan's introduction?
Sure, a coda. That's very musical.
I do what I can. I seem to remember a day in my kitchen with Jordan and Kylie, and Jordan was doing our hair, you guys, because Jordan's like an amazing colorist.
Highly recommend.
Yeah, and we were like, Jordan, you gotta watch this show, and he's like, people keep telling me, what's this show? And we showed him the fold in the cheese video.
Actually, it's the other way around.
Oh my god, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, you and Jordan.
We're showing Kylie?
We're showing me.
We're showing Kylie, that's what it was.
Oh, yeah.
Because, and it motivated me to watch it because you said, who does this remind you of?
And it's Jordan.
It's Jordan.
He even dresses. I mean, not as outlandish sometimes as some of David's stuff, but color schemes like Jordan.
My wardrobe is literally David Rose's wardrobe.
Yeah.
If everyone can see what's hanging in my closet, it's literally anything that David has worn on the show. I literally have probably 3 or 4 almost exact articles of clothing. It's kind of just.
But you had him first, I feel like.
I know, right? That's why I'm like, is this written about me? Is this some sort of spy somewhere?
I'm wondering if he just encountered you at some point and think, I gotta make this guy a character.
This guy is it.
Well, we're so excited to have our new panelists with us today, and of course our returning panelists. And since we've covered introductions, it's now time to talk about the season. This is sort of a free-for-all. What did you like? What didn't you like? Express your opinions, thoughts, hopes, dreams, wishes. Go.
I can't even convey to you how much I love a musical. I mean, we all know, but I pretty much live for a Broadway musical. And, I mean, it doesn't have to be on Broadway. Any musical. Look, if you put a musical on a show, I'm going to watch it. I don't even have to watch that show, Holler Supernatural, and I will still watch the musical episode of it. That's how passionate I am. So when I heard there was going to be a musical, I pretty much lost my mind. And I waited for it the whole time, and then it finally happened.
And
It was so good. I don't even really like cabaret that much. Like,
same.
It doesn't, but it literally doesn't matter.
Blasphemy.
I don't hate it. It's not like Cats or something. But
Yeah, it's not Cats.
Cats is so bad. That's a different podcast.
That's a totally different podcast.
But I don't go gaga for cabaret, but I did in this case because it was on a TV and they were doing a musical, and I just generally like that. So I appreciate it. Other people say things.
What I really loved about season 5 is I feel like this particular season, they sort of started doing it in season 4 a little bit, kind of leading into it, to this season, but I feel like this season really was delving deeper into the relationships. They were really pairing off more. So like you had David and Patrick, there was so much more that happened between them as a couple. Stevie had a love interest for a minute there, and you got to see her roller coaster of emotions. What?
He was kind of a D-bag in the end, though.
He was, but he was exploring other areas of the characters instead of it just being like, look, rich people in a poor people's town. It became more about, even Moira and Johnny, you could see more aspects of their marriage when they babysat, and they remind them of being parents and what they love about they do love their kids. You see a lot more this season than it just kind of being jokey all the time. So that's what I really loved about it.
To build on that, I was really struck by Patrick's surprise party and the parents come in, because I was like having an actual like emotional care about the characters thing, which is rare for me, and I was like, they won me over. They did it. I care about fake people. Congratulations, show.
I agree. I think they did that in such a perfectly balanced way. There was humor in it, so it didn't get like too serious, which would seem out of place in a 20-minute comedic show. But it also was so touching, which is also something that's really great about the show too, is that I know that, Dan Levy has said in interviews before that he stays very conscious about how, yes, Schitt's Creek is sort of the epitome of what we all imagine of small town Nowheresville, but specifically anybody can kind of rub elbows. Like there's no discrimination anywhere on purpose in any way, shape, or form. So I really love that episode too, because it kind of highlighted that.
Watching that episode, because I've heard what Dan Levy had said, I didn't know if they were going to bring that in since Patrick's parents weren't from the town. So it was more like anxious how they were going to take finding out that Patrick was gay and all of that. And they handled it really well and kept the tension and emotional stakes pretty high there.
Absolutely.
What I think is kind of wonderful about that episode is so often the story of coming out is almost formulaic at this point, which part of that is exposure and just acclimating people to the idea that it's okay. But this felt completely new and different because of how they did it, because it was Johnny letting it slip and then David trying to protect Patrick so that he could have a genuine coming out moment, and then his parents being totally accepting. They were just more concerned that he hadn't said anything to them. And I think that's new, that's unique. I don't think we see that very often. Even as more representation is happening on TV, I don't think it actually ever translates into something different than a formula right now, except on the show.
And everything was true to the characters too. Like Johnny letting it slip fits his character in many ways. Moira and Johnny it's not a big deal anything about David's sexuality or
David, are you saying what is?
No, what is David's sister's name?
Alexa.
They don't care about that either. Like, it doesn't bother them. So that he's so casually just talking to Patrick's parents as if they know, that fits with his character too. Why would he think that they care? Or that they don't know yet? Dan
Levy said in an interview, because somebody asked him if they were going to show people discriminating against he and Patrick in this town. He's like, no, we don't need to show that. That is anywhere you look, you can see that. But we're going to show how it's just not a big deal to these people, because it shouldn't be a big deal, because it's not a big deal. And that's what we want to show you. And I'm like, great.
Which is wonderful. And it's one of the best episodes of the season. Although, to jump off Sarah's initial impassioned speech for Cabaret in Schitt's Creek.
Okay, it's so good.
I have to say how much I loved Stevie's journey this season. I love the fact that Moira, you don't know what Moira's thinking half the time, because Moira is Moira, and she's obsessed with the crows, and everything is happening, and she's speaking Bosnian, and you just don't know what her motivation is, and you think maybe she's plucking Stevie because she's just desperate, because she's seen her daughter audition and a whole bunch of other people. But then she actually does see something genuine in Stevie that connects her to Sally Bowles, the lead in Cabaret. And then she hits it out of the park. Is she the best singer? No. But the emotion is there. She delivers that song very well. And I just thought to myself when I watched it, man, I wish somebody looked at me and had that kind of confidence and said, you could do this, i.e. play a part, not necessarily Sally Bowles. And it was very thrilling for me because I love Stevie. I love Stevie and David so much. They're my two favorite characters. I love them together. I love their friendship. But I like her independently because she is kind of that insecure but sarcastic yet totally capable. She just undersells herself. And it was really lovely to kind of see her grow wings and fly, to be hokey.
Yeah, she's not a bad singer or anything, but she's certainly not like Idina Menzel, or whoever else the kids are listening to these days. But
In their
reason,
Broadway pantheon.
yeah, Sutton Foster, that's one of them.
Sure.
The reason she was so great is because she acted the song, and that is the number one thing that I look for when I watch a musical. I want to see them act through the song. It doesn't do anything for me if you don't mean it.
What I wanted them to do, though, I wanted to see the whole show.
Well, we
Not
all
just
Oh my God, me
the
too.
prelude and maybe this time.
yeah.
So, the set was amazing for their budget.
Well, we got to see the money number in rehearsal.
Oh, that's
and
right.
that was pretty sweet
Oh, yeah.
with
'Cause that was
Patrick.
Patrick and...
Stevie.
Yeah, they were rehearsing the dance with the choreographer while David
With their
was trying...
secret choreographer.
Yes, secret choreographer. David was trying to distract Moira so she wouldn't interfere.
That was fun because David was like, I can't, there's nothing else. I don't want to, no, don't make me. It was fun. I loved when they got robbed. When Stevie and David, do you want some cheese? What do you want, some wine?
Oh, yeah.
And the guy
Robbed
didn't
in
even have a gun.
quotes.
What did we just do? Did we just give him? It was fun.
Yes.
I just enjoyed that moment. I love Rose Apothecary. I would shop there, so any scene that they're in there, I'm like, this place is so beautiful and light and clean, and I want to go there.
It is very tasteful.
It is. I like it.
It sounds like the products would be very lovely.
Yes, the skincare and the... What else were they giving him? You need lotion? Do you need some lotion?
Tapenade.
Yeah, olive tapenade.
It's fun.
You know what else this season, spoiler alert for those who don't know, that I thought was a standout moment, of course, was the proposal. Hello?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It was so beautiful. The whole, they go on a hike and everything was going wrong. And you can just see poor Patrick's little puppy dog eyes like, let's just give up, And then it turns out that he was going to propose the whole time. And then I cried when it happened because it was so sweet.
I cried too.
It was so beautiful.
I
I
just want
also
to
cried
point
when
out,
Stevie sang.
in the moment before that sweet tear-jerking moment, it was David carrying Patrick on his back
Yes.
on the mountain,
Yes.
which was so cartoony.
Complaining.
It was very weird.
But it worked because you didn't know that there was a proposal coming.
It's true.
I mean,
I kind of thought.
Well, I thought he had something big planned, but I didn't necessarily assume proposal.
I kind of did. What's wrong with me?
I guess you're just psychic.
Yeah, I'm a little bit Alexis.
She's a little bit of
But a little bit of Lexus.
I'm a little
That-
bit tipsy.
song is
Drive
terrible.
my car.
It's perfectly terrible. It's so bad it's good.
Yeah, I'm going to do that next time I audition.
Alexis is
You
I'm
song
should.
with Alexis. I
Absolutely.
totally should.
with her choreography.
I'm a little bit single. Even when I'm not.
Why do you know so many of the words?
Yeah!
Why do you not know them?
Because I was paying attention to other things.
Alexis, I really enjoyed her.
She's fun.
I used to enjoy her more because she had like funny, snarky one-liners or like weird stuff. But I like who she's turning into. Like, I liked the story of how she didn't want to go with Ted to the Galapagos. But in the end, she came around. I do think it would be kind of a shock. And at first, I did not know the whole vacation thing. Like, what are they going for? So what? She doesn't want to go there on vacation. And then when it came out what it really was, I felt like this is my actual marriage. Nick would want to go down to the Galapagos and study tortoises and do all of that. He's nodding, people. He is. And I'd be like, for how long? And there's no...
I just always want to visit.
And just think of the bugs.
Yeah. I mean, I would go for you, but
Iguanas everywhere.
that's not persuading me. I like iguanas when I know where they are, but I don't want to be surprised by one.
Oh, you know they're there.
Anyway, I enjoyed that. You can see why.
I love Alexis too. She cracks me up, and I agree. Her. I think out of the core Rose family, her journey has went the furthest. I think.
Yeah.
She's grown up the most, I guess.
Yeah.
It seems,
Agreed.
and I love that. Also, her mannerisms, the best. Her little T-Rex arms, the best.
Ew, David.
Ew, David. Shouldn't say as much of that this season, though. There wasn't many ew Davids and oh my god Davids, and they didn't spend a lot of time together.
No, a lot of
They
them
didn't.
were separate. The four of them were separate quite a bit.
Did we talk about the holiday special last time?
We did not.
So we can bring that in if that comes up. I liked that.
We should bring that in.
Yeah, that was...
Because we didn't talk about it.
Johnny wanted to have this big Christmas party, and everybody else was like, why are we doing this? And I'm like, David, can you just bring decorations? No, I'm going to sell those at the store. I'm not just going to, like, bring you... It was fun.
Yeah, I really like the Christmas holiday special because it showed like their old life, which like is the first 2/3 of the first episode.
Yeah.
But that was like when I didn't care, so it was like annoying sitcom setup. Then it was like we get to see these people back there as we know them now. That was a fun switcheroo.
Yeah, I enjoyed that too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the holiday special was my favorite episode.
No.
But it serviced what it was going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember details of it to go into it.
There wasn't a lot, quite honestly. Johnny kept flashing back to those holidays at their mansion, when they were all kind of separate and Moira was they were all very self-absorbed. And then he just wanted to recreate a little of that magic in Schitt's Creek by having their own family Christmas, but the other three weren't quite into it.
Oh, was Paul Schaefer there?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
Paul
at
Schaefer was
the mansion.
Oh, yeah. Forgot he was there.
He's Canadian.
He is
I don't remember on the holiday special. Did it finally snow in Schitt's Creek? I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
I don't
that being a
remember.
thing.
That's a running joke. That's a running joke because it's like, what season do the seasons ever change in Schitt's Creek?
Oh, yeah.
Because David always wears sweaters, and it's always sunny, but yet there's never rain or snow. So it's like, I don't remember if it actually snowed in the holiday episode or not.
In the
I don't
roast
think it
episode, they
snowed.
say it's summer because one of the roast jokes is that David is wearing a sweater in the summer.
Yeah. I think he'd
Oh
wear
my
a
God.
sweater regardless.
Yeah.
Did
I forgot about the roast
Through
episode.
air conditioning, you need to have a sweater on hand, I think.
Okay. You were saying about the roast
I
episode?
enjoyed the roast episode and Johnny struggling for jokes and then kind of getting there at the end.
But then losing it, and he quits while he's ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Overall this season, I am impressed with their ability to balance the absurdity of Moira and the grounded moments of her. Like with Stevie, even moments with the crows, that whole thing. But I really liked her and Alexis going to sign autographs for the soap convention.
Okay, question.
Yo.
Are those real?
Yeah.
They are? Soap opera
I'm sure they
conventions?
are.
Well, I don't know if it's specifically a soap opera convention, but there's specific conventions that are they're not that popular. They're people that you might have liked from a show that might not have been doing much anymore, that a company gets them all together, pays them to sign autographs, and they get to meet the fans, and it's shows from ways away.
Did you look one up?
At least one exists for General Hospital, which is the first Google result for soap opera convention.
Get out of town.
But I've heard other
I
celebrities.
suppose I
even-
shouldn't be surprised.
Like Gilbert Gottfried said, sometimes he'll go and he'll meet fans and sign autographs. He gets paid to be there, and it's like
Well,
like
what
a
else is he
Comic-Con,
doing?
except it's just
He
that,
got
and
fired
it's-
from Affleck.
He's doing his podcast. It's really good.
Okay.
I loved when Moira was in Bosnia and she was filming and she called and the kids were wearing her wigs and the dad was like, take those off. She's gonna know. It was fun.
I like the fact that her wigs all have names.
Yes, of course
I
they
do too.
Was there anything you didn't like about the season? Or did you think it was just magical from beginning to end?
I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't really like when they introduced Jocelyn being pregnant, and I was leery of how sitcom-y that storyline was going to go, but I actually ended up enjoying what we did have of it, which wasn't too much anyway. And then we got something with Jocelyn getting her hair cut.
She went to
Concert.
casino night. They went to the casino. They were going to see Poison, but Poison canceled. And it was some band that does children's songs that I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah, like the Doodle Bops or something.
Yeah, something like that. She was so counting on Poison. They go to the casino anyway, though, just to have a Jazzy Gals girl night. And she gets a very ill-advised haircut.
Which is funny, because Moira's hair always looks ridiculous, and everyone's fine with it.
I know. I was.
But not to Moira. To Moira, it's the chicest thing ever.
That is true.
Because she knows things.
And she owns it.
Right.
I was undersold on the first half of this season's Stevie arc. I really didn't care. And it made me feel like they're just kind of doing some work to get to a low place so that she can rise from the ashes in Cabaret, which is fine, but I felt like I was sitting through those parts.
I think that was a very apparent plot arc, you're right. Because it was like we barely had time to like her with that guy, and then he's gone. And they just wanted that payoff for her to say maybe this time, and to really be like at the very bottom.
Yeah, I felt some of those moments were either forced or fake. I'm not sure because I feel like, did season 4 end with Rosebud? Like things were going in an upward trajectory.
No, they were. I mean, they had rebranded to Rosebud at the beginning of season 4, but they were, because they got the cinnamon rolls and all that business. They hired Roland as maintenance. All that happened last season, but they're kind of more established this season. And Johnny is of course bored because Moira's abroad doing her Crow movie. So Stevie just feels stagnant, I think. So to that end, I like Stevie's arc. I didn't like Amir. I thought he was just, he turned out to be one of those guys, and that was really sad. But I also took her rendition of Maybe This Time as more all-encompassing than her love life. One of the things she says to Moira when Moira tries to give her the pep talk before she goes on is that, she's really cool and she's got a lot to offer. And Stevie says to Moira, I feel like everybody's growing up without me because David's getting married and Alexis is going off to the Galapagos and Johnny has the health scare, and she takes that really hard because I think she sort of sees him as an adoptive father in a way. And so I think it's all of it together, not just the boyfriend, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I really relate to Stevie. so I feel for her. I see her brain sometimes. I appreciate her snark.
I was mildly, this is changing the topic a bit, annoyed by the episode with David's old boss barn.
Wendy.
Clothes barn. Yeah, that storyline was annoying to me.
Blouse barn.
Yeah, the blouse barn.
What did she do? I don't remember.
They tried to steal at the flea market her and that other guy that was sort of a David lookalike, but not really, but everyone kept saying it, which was basically trying to scam people with cheap knockoffs of what Rose Apothecary was selling.
Oh, that's right. And then it got everybody's rashy.
Because...
Or was that a different thing?
They were selling that stuff you could get free from the drugstore.
Oh,
Liquid Moisture? It had a weird name.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was called.
Yeah, that's right. I remember.
They put their own label on it. And the other guy seemed real determined to undermine David for some reason. I wonder if we'll ever see that guy again because I don't know why.
It's so one-offia that I didn't care, and I don't think I would care if it came back.
Well, and I kept wondering, what's his problem? Like, why is he just a bad guy that's entrepreneurial to the point of grossness, or does he have something against David?
Yeah, or was he just something to add to a reason to bring Wendy back? I don't know if we were all clamoring for more Wendy.
No, I wasn't. I was good.
She's funny, but yeah, it was the most sort of irrelevant filler storyline kind of the season, I think. Just kind of gave them something else to do and get them outside of the, other stuff that was going on.
Yeah. Amy, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you about the Stevie storyline. I really liked when she sang her cabaret song. I'm glad that they didn't give the part to Alexis because she would not have done well. I'm glad that Alexis finally decided to go to the Galapagos with Ted. I was worried that she would insist on staying home. So I'm glad that she decided to go with them. I think one episode that I didn't like was that David had to babysit the kid?
Johnny. Oh,
David
David did watch the kid in the store for a little while.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't like that. I thought it was dumb.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know why they had to do that. Yeah, I can't remember a lot of details about it. I just remember him babysitting, and I didn't know why that had to happen. Oh, yeah, I remember now. To get the business from that lady.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, a vendor.
Yeah.
Or something.
So did he end up getting a lot of business from her?
Because she was so impressed with how he took care of the baby, and he pretended he was his father, and then Roland comes back to claim the child, and she thinks they're together.
Yeah, okay. So I didn't remember if he ended up getting a lot of business from her because of that.
He got her
Anyway.
business. She said she was going to meet with him later and
Right,
all this
that's
business.
cool.
But we never saw a payoff of that. We don't know what kind
Okay.
of business it really is.
If we're nitpicking,
We can always nitpick. That's part of a podcast.
Ted's mom, I didn't need that. The
Yeah.
whole, what if she likes Johnny? Oh, it turns out 15 minutes later she didn't. and I mean, I'm not a huge Ted fan. I didn't need to meet Ted's mom.
I agree. I think that was kind of the lamest storyline of the season because I knew it couldn't have been what he thought.
And even if it were, would it have really mattered?
No.
It would have been. It's a whole bunch of running around to avoid saying something uncomfortable.
It's Eugene Levy at his Eugene Leviest, though.
That's true.
That's true.
He changed his
But
mind.
what could
Woo!
Eugene Levy had been doing if they had written something else?
We'll
These
never
are
know.
questions I cannot answer, Josh. I don't know who wrote that episode. Although Dan wrote quite a few of them this time, I noticed.
I had one thought. Okay, so there's an episode where Patrick proposes while on the hike, and they have the champagne, right? And then there's another episode where he's like, here's the champagne that's left over from the hike. No, there wouldn't be any champagne left over, and it would have all been shooken up from the hike. I'm just saying. It would have gone flat. I'm just saying.
They had 2 big bags. It could have been multiple bottles.
Still would've been
Okay.
flat.
But they didn't open the second bottle.
From the shaking?
Okay, a wizard did it.
Speaking of bottles, what about that adult slumber party and the spin the bottle situation?
Oh, yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, I don't know what they were trying to accomplish.
It did seem like suddenly they were like uptight, like, oh my gosh, he kissed him. Now we're immediately like uptight people, but we aren't normally.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
I questioned that as well. I was like, why are you jealous? You're all going to go back to the people you came with.
I don't
Fine.
I don't really care what the situation is. I'm not going to kiss my sister's wife or my brother's wife. I'm just not going to. Because that person's going to be your in-law forever.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Sarah has spoken.
It just seemed weird that then Alexis wanted to kiss Patrick or had to make that happen. But it's like, really? I don't know. I can't. It was weird. It's weird.
It was weird.
Sorry to all my in-laws. I'm never kissing you.
But wasn't the point of that episode, wasn't the whole point of that a little bit kind of to give us more of Ted? Because he
Yes.
is kind of stick up the butt most of the time.
Yes.
So wasn't the whole purpose to kind of give us a whole different side of that character, regardless of how weird it was, which is kind of the point? It was like, oh,
He
look,
is
I can
weird.
have fun too, guy, you know? And then he was just super awkward on top of it, so it just made it worse.
Yeah, he should just do a lot of calisthenics with his shirt off and give us.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
Yeah, that's all we want.
I mean, I don't really care about Ted. So, it was... I mean, I'm glad that Alexis is happy and that she's making evolutionary strides by going to the Galapagos Islands, but...
She's gonna love it.
I think Ted is good for Alexis,
She's
but it's
gonna
not
love
necessarily good for much else in my viewing.
Yeah, he's a little...
Yeah, I agree with that.
He's a little milk toast, if you will. Yeah.
I mean, that's how he's written. That is his purpose. I don't know.
And then I do question spin the bottle when all the participants are at least 30 years old.
and or related or in a relationship with somebody else's sibling. Oh, it's weird.
Oh, when they do it on Friends, you're fine with it.
When do they do it?
They were in their 20s on Friends.
Okay.
Did they play Spin the Bottle?
Yes, they did play
do.
spin the bottle.
What episode was that?
I'm going to have to think about it.
She's trying to get
Rachel's trying to kiss
land on-
Josh, the
Yeah.
personal
No,
shot.
Joshua.
Joshua.
Oh, I remember that.
You're right. So there was this whole spin the
No,
bottle.
I
and she
remember
put her
now, but I don't
slutty
think they
shoulder-
actually showed much of that.
They showed some of it because it kept landing on the wrong person, and I think it was Phoebe got to kiss Joshua a lot, and Rachel was not having it.
I don't like it then, and I don't like it now.
I see. Well, that's for our Friends podcast panel, which we already did.
Check it out.
Check it out.
Anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Correct.
And tweet at us.
Tweet at
At
us.
CPU Podcast.
That's correct. That is our tweeter. Very good. So we've already talked about the holiday special. Is there anything else you want to say as far as what you liked or didn't like about this season?
feel like we got less of the little townies that we like a lot, or I do.
Yeah, Bob and Ronnie.
I mean, there was some with the baseball game, which we didn't talk about.
Yeah, the baseball game.
And the roast.
David played right field, and he caught one.
Yeah.
And if there was any doubt that I am David, that was the episode that solidified it. That is me personified in the baseball game. That's exactly what would happen to me. Exactly how awkward I would look and would be, and I would trip and fall. So there you go.
But you might catch one.
Might. And might is too strong of a word.
And you'd be rewarded with hot dogs. So
A barbecue.
a barbecue.
It's a barbecue, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you'd also be the lead in Cabaret, so you're not exactly him.
David
Well,
didn't audition.
that's
I know, but I'm saying Jordan would.
Jordan would audition.
He would play the MC.
That's probably what you want
Because
to
he's
play.
also a little bit Alan Cumming.
It's true. It's an odd hodgepodge of celebrity-isms that I have, but that is very true.
I'm not wrong.
I don't know how to follow that up. What was I going to say?
Baseball.
Baseball!
What we
There's no
disliked in
crying in
baseball and things, yeah.
I liked that baseball episode.
I enjoyed that.
And we did get more of the towny people in there. Ronnie
Okay.
was goading Patrick.
I kind of wanted David to just be shockingly good at baseball on accident. Like, oh, great.
Well, I think that's what you were supposed to take away from his catch, because he wasn't really trying up until
Yeah.
that point. He was like, why am I here? This is why I don't do things. But he ended up catching it.
Yeah, he did. Good job, David.
It was very sportsy.
And
I
we
love
got
at the
to
beginning of the
support Ronnie.
episode, David says, when he comes out in uniform, he says, "My glove is brown. My shoes are black.
Yes.
Can something be done about this?" And made me laugh so hard.
We got to see a lot more of Ronnie this season, and that was nice because Ronnie's funny.
She is funny.
She's like seriously funny, so I was glad that we got to see a lot more of her.
She is the expert roaster. That's for sure.
That's true.
Yeah.
She doesn't even need a roast to do the roasting.
The only thing, the only negative thing I would say about the season, or not season, I guess the show overall maybe, is that I feel like so many of the characters have been really beautifully developed and they're going on these great journeys, but then there are the ones that aren't, like Ronnie and like Bob and then Roland shit. Like, they're funny and I like them for kind of what they are, but I kind of wish there was a little bit more there too, like especially with Roland and Jocelyn. It's like, okay, we get it, he's the mayor and his name is funny. That's
See,
kind of it.
I don't need any more of him. I think what we get is plenty, and I don't know how they could develop him into anything more than the specimen of a man that he is.
True.
I liked
I
how
don't know.
last season he needed the job because he wanted money because the baby was coming. I think they tried, and then they were like, oh, well, we did one thing with him.
I don't know. Chris Elliott is one of those actors that you either find funny or you don't, and I more often don't find him funny. He was funny in Groundhog Day. That was funny because he was up against Bill Murray, and that was funny. He's less funny to me in Schitt's Creek.
There can easily be too much of Chris
He was
Elliott.
kind of the straight man in Groundhog Day.
He was, although he snarked. He
Yeah,
snarked
but
back.
he was more of like, I don't know, the foil.
And because they are relying on sort of the perennial jokes that are the puns of the show for him. I mean, I suppose if they found something that made his character pay off, I'd be open to it. But he's my least favorite character as well, and
Yeah, he's mine too.
yeah.
It's just an overall observation, I guess.
Yeah.
Is just the other characters other than the Roses and the immediate people surrounding them don't really have much more to do. It's just my overall observation.
Sure.
It's my only negative I could say.
Yeah, I always enjoyed Twyla, but she didn't do that much. I mean, she got to be in
Yeah.
Cabaret, but she
traded her jewelry with Alexis.
She did.
Yeah.
She had kind of a nice exchange with Johnny during the Christmas special. How she was kind of keeping the place open for him and letting him have meatloaf, even though it wasn't meatloaf day or whatever.
Day old meatloaf.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can't decide if I want more from that character or if I just want more because I know it's Eugene Levy's daughter.
Yeah.
Right.
I think Twyla, I think she gets to mention occasionally. I think probably more so than some of the others, just because she has formed a relationship with the Roses, because they eat at the diner all the time. She's in the Jazzy Gal, she's in Cabaret. You get to see kind of how she responds in those situations. I don't know, I think she's the perfect dose for what she is.
She has a colorful backstory because she has a lot of comments
She does.
about her weird family, and like I can't think of anything specific, but they're always kind of like, what?
There's a hot mess in her family that we have yet to explore. We just know she hints at it. But I like Jocelyn. I think Jocelyn gets a lot to do. I think she got to be the assistant director of Cabaret, and she shined.
I liked the episode where Moira came over and Jocelyn was like, you have to be quiet. I just got the baby to sleep. And Moira's like, what?
And Moira always says, "Bebe."
The
The bebe.
Which
In every
always makes me laugh.
Baby, it is Bebe.
Bebe.
Catherine O'Hara.
An international
National
treasure.
I was watching Home Alone with my students. They got a bonus. They picked Home Alone.
Christmas
like-
classic.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, you guys, Catherine O'Hara. And they're like, is that the lady from Beetlejuice? And I was like,
It is.
yes, but not just Beetlejuice. And I was like naming all these things, and they were like, we don't know.
They're young.
I know.
They'll learn.
But then they were like, you really like that lady. I was like, yes, I do.
She's an international treasure.
She's a genius.
She
We
is.
barely
Cute.
talked about the crows.
It was so close
mean-
to being too much for me, but then it wasn't.
Because of the birds?
No.
Oh.
Just because it was almost shark jumping territory, whatever
would
we saw
never.
in Bosnia, but it was like that's what I was saying, that it comes so close to being ridiculous, but
I like the weird. I thought it brought the weird, and it's a show I trust to bring the weird. I wouldn't have minded if we had seen more, or if we had seen scenes from it, like if a screener had come out and she had shown it to people, and we really only got to see it right in the beginning. It was fun, and we know that some of the crows were mutants,
Yes, we
so I wouldn't mind knowing more.
well, maybe they'll do a
And there's a, what do they call it, a cropocalypse?
Cropocalypse.
apocalypse. I mean, sci-fi should just make it with Catherine O'Hara.
There you go.
Write them.
They're probably already working on it.
He shrugs. I agree with Josh, though. I wish we'd seen actual clips of this film. We saw segments of Cabaret, why not? There could have been even the scene when she was on the mount.
In the nest.
The nest.
In the nest, yeah.
We could see like how that translates green screen and everything into a larger thing.
Well, I wonder if we will in season 6 because maybe there'll be the premiere.
It was shelved. That's what she broke down in the series finale
But there's
and
so
went to
many
the
outlets
closet.
now.
Yeah,
It's
but
gonna find a home. On
yeah, I don't
Stars.
think it went away. I think it'll be. I think
Yeah.
they're gonna. Somebody's gonna. That's my prediction.
On the DVD extras or Blu-ray or whatever for this show, they should totally put a whole Cabaret and a whole Crow movie.
I don't buy those things.
Bestseller. You could because you want to see that, Nick. So you think the overall story held up pretty well?
Yeah, the show
Yeah.
overall, all the storylines.
Season 6 was announced to be the final season of Schitt's Creek, making this Nick's favorite word, the penultimate one. How would you like to see Schitt's Creek end?
Good word.
What predictions, wishes, or hopes do you have for the last
Double
season?
wedding.
A double wedding.
Who's the other one?
Ooh.
besides
Wedding.
David and Patrick.
Ted and Alexis and Patrick and David. That's
I didn't even think of that.
Boom.
While the
That's
roses
great.
renew their wedding vows.
Yeah.
What?
I said, while the roses renew their wedding vows. And Roland presides.
Triple wedding.
I mean, I think that's probably how it has to end with the wedding. I don't know where else they'll go. But as much as I love this show, I'm not disappointed that it's going to be the last season, because I don't know what else they're going to do. They're growing away from each other, which is natural and good writing, but them being together is why I like this show. So it's all coming to where I think some of them are going to leave Schitt's Creek. Well, obviously Alexis is. She'll have to come back for the season.
Well, she wanted to plan David's wedding. She may change her mind about Galapagos once she gets there.
Or season 6 might start 6 months later? I don't know.
A time jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, are we gonna see 14 episodes of Ted and Alexis before they leave, or are we gonna
Oh, yeah.
believe that we're gonna have the show with them out of the country? Well, wasn't there something about Ted was leaving first and Alexis
Ted's
was leaving
already
later?
there.
Ted just left.
So maybe we'll have Alexis but not Ted, which would hurt the double wedding proposition.
Well, Alexis was going to leave in 1 week.
Yeah,
Right.
1 week. That doesn't sound like 14 episodes.
No, it doesn't. So I don't know what they're going to do. It might be a time jump. Climate change might sink the Galapagos, so Ted has to come back real early.
Whoa, that got dark.
Isn't that a possibility? No?
Maybe not for
14 episodes.
comedy.
Okay, the Cropocalypse might hit the Galapagos.
That's
The Galapagos
fiction, Nick.
Cropocalypse.
I agree with Nick that as much as we all do have an obsession with this show, and I'm sad to see it go, it is the right time to let it go for fear of it going too far and then losing quality. So I think it is the perfect cutoff point. So I agree with that. Prediction-wise, or kind of wishful thinking, first of all, obviously the wedding. I mean, that's the inevitable. In true David, lovely, lavish, over-the-top style. And I can't wait to see what Moira's ensemble will be for the ceremony. So that's going to be like a big highlight, obviously. But I don't know if they'll do something with either the Crow movie, like we were talking about, getting picked up on like a streaming service or something crazy, or maybe Moira gets another huge opportunity, another acting gig or something, and for whatever reason realizes that she doesn't want that anymore and decides to stay.
Because she
and her
wants
and
to
Johnny
direct
stay.
community theater.
Yeah, like she realizes that's not my life anymore, and that brings them full circle, and maybe Alexis does grow apart and does leave and whatever. So I don't know. I think they'll do something more with Moira's to kind of close her, bring her full circle.
For the David and Patrick wedding, I wonder if they have to either do it early in the season, or if something has to challenge them to justify that being the thing of the season.
I think there'll be a challenge.
Yeah, if they're just perfect for each other for 14 more episodes, they're not going to have me not crying on my living room couch when they get married.
I don't think we'll see the wedding early. I'm sure that Jordan already suggested it's going to be lavish, and we all know David wants it. I imagine there'll be some clashing over what goes in the wedding and how the wedding takes place. And
they're not to adopt kids. They haven't talked about kids.
Yeah, they haven't had these big talks yet. He already babysitted the little Roland, so we don't know what's going to happen. But I don't think the challenges will be long-lasting. I think that will be one of the event episodes of the season, and I don't think we'll see it early. Will it be the series finale? Yeah, I don't know that. They might do something totally surprising and leave that for more of a build-up toward it, but who knows? I don't know what could be totally surprising that would pay off this show bigger than many multiple weddings.
I kind of feel like they're going to plan a big wedding for David and Patrick, and then for whatever reason, they're going to decide to elope, but Moira and Johnny step in and renew their vows. There's my prediction.
Okay.
You can have it.
That was very specific.
I know.
And she is kind of psychic. Oh.
It happens all the time on Grey's Anatomy, so.
Oh.
So what happens for Stevie?
That was a perfect response.
What happens?
Does Johnny leave the motel and Stevie?
I think Johnny and Moira
takes
stay in
over?
Schitt's Creek.
I think they're going to stay too. They're going to stay there.
To almost
I think.
retire in a sense. Like, this is where we were going to all along. We just got there through this unlikely, mixed up, goofy path. But this is the right thing now.
Maybe they'll move out of the hotel.
That could be. They might get themselves an actual house if they get money. They were struggling for money this year. I think Stevie's going to get out. I think that's her eventuality. That's what we're building toward with all of this season 5 talk and her hopes, wishes, and dreams. I think she wants more. She just has been too afraid to grasp at it. But she's become a surrogate member of the Roses family. And David and Moira and Johnny particularly, although Alexis is pretty supportive of her too. They're all very supportive of Stevie and they love her. So I think that's going to be part of what we see is Stevie's journey out, finally, of Schitt's Creek after all this time. Maybe she'll meet some guy who isn't a D-bag, like Amir, the travel blogger, who stays in 2-star hotels and reviews them. How much money can he possibly make? Just saying.
I have a theory that the name of the town is so important that there's going to be some the Roses leaving their name on the town, and my version of that was the Performing Arts Center will be named after Maura, and that will be one of the closing moments.
Roses need never mind.
What? Where were you going with that? Were you going to say something about fertilizer?
Yeah.
Why?
I feel like it's a metaphor for the show. This is where the roses needed some manure to bloom.
Okay. So there's the theme.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how to respond to that. Okay.
Get edited out of the episode.
All right. Is there anything else you want to say about Schitt's Creek Season 5 or what you hope to see in the last final Season 6? I swear I can talk English.
Just that Crow movie.
Just that Crow movie?
That's all I want, y'all.
And Cabaret. And the whole show Cabaret.
Yeah, the whole show.
Yeah, and do another musical. I mean, whatever.
Yeah,
If
just
they're going to name the
cause.
Performing Arts Center after her, we need to see that she did more than direct one amazing cabaret.
That's legitimate.
She needs to have a legacy that happened in Schitt's Creek.
At least 2 shows.
Like 2
Yeah,
shows.
like maybe
Like cats.
there was
No, not
maybe there was
cats.
somebody in the audience of Cabaret that like saw the amazing direction and saw the amazing performance and like wants to like throw money at Schitt's Creek or something, and then voila, they are.
Well, that would take a lot of money. And this is coming from people who do the nonprofit theater thing and dream of said money. One can only hope. Are you going to keep watching?
Well, yeah.
Yes.
Try to stop.
Of course.
Yes.
Okay, good. Because if you keep watching, that means you'll probably come back to talk about Season 6, right?
Right.
Right.
Try to stop me.
Yes.
Cool. Well, I'm just going to double check once more because this is the unresolved feelings question. Is there anything else you need to express about Schitt's Creek before we leave it here?
No.
Nope.
Okay. Well, seeing that there is no further expression and we've already determined that the roses are being fertilized, what I'd like to do is thank Nick, Sarah, Josh, Amy, and Jordan for joining me to talk about the 5th season of Schitt's Creek. And because we've talked the 5th season of Schitt's Creek, it's now time to roll the credits. Couch Potatoes Unite! Exclamation Point was produced by Back Pocket Productions, run by yours truly, the Chief Couch Potato, which is really another way of saying executively produced by me, Kylie Piette. My associate producers are Krista Pennington and Selene Rezmer. I edit this podcast, and our logo is by Rebecca Wallace. Our marketing graphic artist is Krista. Our theme song was written by Sarah Milbratz and sung by Sarah, Amy McDaniel, and Kelsey Rezmer. Kelsey played the keyboard, Ian McDonough played the bass, Christian Somerville played the guitar, and the whole kit and caboodle was engineered and produced by Kyle Aspinall and Christian. We hail from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Please, if you like what you hear, take the time to rate us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or Google Play, or wherever you find your podcasts. Give us stars, give us comments, give us reviews. Let us know how we're doing. Send us a message. We might just read it on the podcast. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, what we should keep, what we should toss. You know how it goes. And if you have suggestions on shows we might consider, contact us at our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, where we have a guest book, by email at couchpotatoesunitepodcast@gmail.com, or via our social media, Facebook, Twitter at CPU Podcast, and Instagram at Couch Potatoes Unite. Though, of course, we add new and old shows to chat about around the water cooler all the time. We always have several more new episodes coming down the pike. Just listen to our intros, and if you miss old episodes or want to know in general what we cover, just find us. We are everywhere and searchable wherever you look for things on the internet. You can search for us, or you can subscribe at our website, our channels, our social media accounts. Stay up on our new events and episodes. Until the next time, all of Schitt's Creek is currently available to stream on Netflix, who should reward loyal viewers like us for our continued patronage and constant mention of their name, free subscriptions. In the meantime, our Schitt's Creek panel will next reconvene sometime following the airing of the show's final season, Season 6, which is expected to premiere on Pop on January 7th, 2020. So until next time, until next episode, new episodes published every Wednesday. Keep listening, keep watching, stay tuned.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.